3:47 a.m. Embassy security camera shows a lone guard walking his rounds. Normal night, quiet hallways. But in 13 minutes, everything would change. Because the man they hired to watch the building was about to become the only thing standing between an ambassador and three trained assassins. Welcome to Hidden Warriors. Before we tell you the story of the guard who became a guardian angel, let me know in the comments, where are you watching from today? And if you believe stories like this deserve to be remembered, hit that subscribe button and help us honor the silent heroes protecting us. The American embassy in Prague looked like any other government building. Concrete, glass, and security that most people never noticed. But Marcus Chen noticed everything. He'd been working the night shift for 3 years, walking the same routes, checking the same doors, watching the same monitors. Marcus was unremarkable in every way that mattered to his supervisors. 42 years old, average height, quiet demeanor. He filled out his security reports in neat handwriting, never missed a shift, never caused problems. His background check showed previous security work at office buildings and shopping malls. Nothing special. Nothing that would raise questions. But Marcus moved differently than other guards. His steps were measured, purposeful. He didn't just walk his rounds, he patrolled them. His eyes swept corners and shadows with the methodical precision of someone who'd learned that missing details could mean death. When he checked doors, he tested them like someone who understood that locks were just the first line of defense. The other guards thought he was just thorough. They had no idea he was mapping every entrance, every exit, every blind spot. They didn't know that Marcus Chen had spent 8 years with the 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment, Delta. They called it Delta Force. And they didn't know that the quiet security guard had once been one of the most lethal soldiers in the world. March 15th started like any other night. Marcus clocked in at 11 p.m., received his briefing from the day shift supervisor, and began his rounds. The embassy was hosting Ambassador Williams, who was in Prague for trade negotiations. Standard diplomatic visit, standard security protocols. But Marcus noticed things others missed. Earlier that week, he'd spotted the same sedan parked across the street on different days. The occupants changed, but the license plate didn't. He'd memorized it, run it through channels he wasn't supposed to have access to anymore. The car was registered to a shell company in Slovakia. That night, the sedan was back. This time, it was empty. At 3:30 a.m., Marcus was checking the 3rd floor offices when he heard it. A sound that didn't belong. Metal on metal, barely audible, coming from the service entrance in the basement. Most guards would have dismissed it as settling pipes or building noise. But Marcus had learned to trust sounds that shouldn't exist. He didn't radio for backup. He didn't call the police. Instead, he did something that revealed 15 years of training they'd never erased from his muscle memory. He moved toward the threat. The service entrance was accessed through a maintenance corridor that most embassy staff didn't even know existed. Marcus had found it during his first week, memorized its layout, understood its tactical significance. Now, as he moved through the darkness, every step silent on the concrete floor, he wished he'd never had to use that knowledge. The lock had been picked with professional precision. No scratches, no forced entry, just the subtle displacement of the pins that spoke of advanced training. Marcus counted 3 sets of footprints in the dust. 3 professionals who moved like ghosts, but couldn't completely erase their presence from someone who knew what to look for. Marcus reached for his radio, then stopped. Protocol said to report immediately, call for backup, evacuate the building. But Marcus knew that by the time help arrived, Ambassador Williams would be dead. These weren't amateurs. They were operators, just like he used to be. For the first time in 3 years, Marcus Chen stopped being a security guard and became something else. Something dangerous. He moved through the embassy like he was back in Kandahar, clearing compounds and hunting high-value targets. Every corner was a potential ambush. Every shadow could hide an enemy. His breathing slowed, his heart rate dropped, and muscle memory took over. Third floor. The ambassador's suite was at the end of the corridor, behind a reinforced door that would stop most threats, but wouldn't even slow down what was coming. Marcus reached the stairwell and heard them above him, quiet voices speaking in accented English, coordinating their approach. They were already in position. Marcus didn't announce himself. He didn't shout warnings or demand surrender. Delta Force had taught him that when lives were at stake, you acted decisively and explained later. He came up the stairs like smoke, silent and lethal. The first assassin was positioned at the elevator, watching for backup that would never come. He never saw Marcus approach from behind. A sleeper hold applied with surgical precision, and the man dropped unconscious without making a sound. Marcus caught him before he hit the floor, lowered him silently, and took his weapon. The second man was at the end of the corridor, watching the ambassador's door, while his partner worked on the electronic lock. Marcus could have taken them both from range, but suppressors weren't silent, and gunshots would wake the entire building. Instead, he did something that required getting close to two men who killed for a living. He became a weapon himself. The movement was over in seconds, a strike to the pressure point that dropped the locksmith instantly. The lookout turned at the sound, saw his partner falling, and reached for his weapon. But Marcus was already there, inside his guard, controlling his gun arm while delivering a blow that shut down his nervous system. 2 minutes. 3 unconscious professional killers. 0 shots fired. Marcus zip-tied their hands with maintenance cables, disarmed them completely, and only then reached for his radio. His voice was calm, professional, giving coordinates and requesting immediate backup for 3 detained intruders. When the FBI tactical team arrived, they found 3 men tied up in the corridor and a security guard sitting calmly beside them. The weapons were arranged in neat rows, magazines removed, safeties engaged. Everything was organized with military precision. "Sir," the team leader said to Marcus, "we need to understand what happened here." Marcus stood up slowly, his hands visible, his posture non-threatening. 3 individuals gained unauthorized access through the service entrance. They were neutralized before they could reach their target. The team leader looked at the unconscious men, then at Marcus. "Sir, these are professional operators, advanced training, military-grade equipment. How exactly did you—" "I got lucky," Marcus said quietly. But luck didn't explain the tactical precision. Luck didn't explain how one man had taken down 3 trained killers without firing a shot. Luck didn't explain the way Marcus had disarmed them with techniques that weren't taught in civilian security courses. Ambassador Williams appeared in his doorway, awakened by the commotion. "What's happening? Who are these men?" The FBI team leader looked at Marcus, then at the ambassador. "Sir, these men were here to kill you. This security guard stopped them." Ambassador Williams stared at Marcus for a long moment. "Thank you," he said simply. Marcus nodded. "Just doing my job, sir." But everyone in that corridor knew it wasn't just a job. What Marcus had done required skills that took years to develop and a lifetime to master. The FBI would want answers, the embassy would want explanations, and Marcus Chen would have to decide how much of his past he was willing to reveal. The investigation lasted 3 weeks. The three assassins were identified as members of a criminal organization with ties to several governments. Their target had been Ambassador Williams, whose trade negotiations threatened certain illegal enterprises. It was a professional hit, planned for months, executed with precision. Except for one thing they hadn't planned for: a night shift security guard who wasn't what he seemed. Marcus never spoke about his military service. When questioned, he provided only the minimum required information. Yes, he'd served in the army. Yes, he'd received combat training. No, he couldn't discuss the details due to classification levels that made the investigators uncomfortable. The embassy offered him a promotion, a commendation, a transfer to a prestigious posting. Marcus declined them all. He wanted to keep working the night shift, walking the same routes, checking the same doors. But something had changed. The other guards looked at him differently now. They'd seen the footage from the security cameras, heard the FBI debriefings. They knew that the quiet man who'd worked beside them for 3 years was someone they'd never really known at all. Marcus Chen went back to being a security guard, but now everyone understood that some guards do more than just watch. Some of them are guardians, carrying secrets that most people couldn't imagine. And sometimes when the darkness comes calling, those secrets are the only thing standing between the innocent and the abyss. The ambassador lived. The assassins were imprisoned. And Marcus Chen continued his quiet service, protecting people who would never know how close they'd come to losing everything.